Somebody tell me, is there Citra in this one? Is there Citra in it?
What?
Is there Citra in this one?
We're watching Greg run into the fridge and
I
get
don't want
his
to seem
beer.
like I'm stupid on the live cast. Oh, hi, everyone. Hi, Nick. How's it going?
Hi, Greg. Hey there, beer tubers. Welcome back to Beer Analysis 101 with your host, Greg. Not really, but this is Maxwell Star here. We're going to take a look at the pride of Nova Scotia without Lee here, unfortunately. We're going to take a look at Alexander Keith's India Pale Ale. Literally, it says it right on the can, the pride of Nova Scotia. Didn't it used to have like a Nova Scotia flag on the can too and everything? Oh well, whatever. I digress. First and foremost, let's get down to who we have with us. Starting off with Redbeard. How you doing tonight, Redbeard? You're muted.
I'm doing well. How are you?
Not doing too bad.
Super excited to get into this India Pale Ale tonight. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It's not really a India Pale Ale anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm not just saying that. They don't call it that. Anyway, whatever. I'll get into that later.
Pale Ale right there on the can. It says it right there on the can.
Because it said it for 100 years. Anyway, so next up we got Mr. Drinking in Canada. We got the Guy. Guy himself. How you doing tonight, sir?
Good. Due to recent events, this is the Canadian equivalent in rarity of Pliny the Elder.
He's not wrong.
I suppose why is it so hard to get in Ontario?
Probably like a bunch of poison batches or something.
I found a bunch of it. Just only one place had it in singles.
I had one can at the gas station. One can.
One can in a gas station. Giant can. Alrighty. So who we got next? Thank you, Lee. Or Guy. Lee. Hi, Lee. How you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm not too bad.
That is good.
Great to have you with us. How are you feeling this week? Anyway, I know you're out last week.
I'm good. I'm recovering well. So I feel as though after everything that happened today and yesterday, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna have a drink tonight. I'm gonna have a drink. I'm gonna enjoy this.
Did you catch the vid?
Sorry?
Did you catch the vid?
No, I mean with the news that's been going on.
Oh no, were you sick or something?
Yeah.
Or?
Greg,
Are you not in the conversation?
Probably not.
Never mind. I posted on the chat, and you weren't there when I joined last week after for the hangout. Like I joined way later. So no, I wasn't. I was injured.
Oh, we can talk about that offline. Anyway,
well, I hope your butt recovers.
Me too.
God. All right, and we got Mr. Greg here. Hi, Greg.
Very excited to be here, Nick, with this rare Quebec gas station beer, which must be poured into a nice, there we go, nice little sipping glass. We'll save the rest.
Give it a nice sipping glass so you can admire its color and bouquet.
That oddly gives off a little bit of a Scotch vibe. I think it's just in my head, though.
It's probably because it's what was last in the glass and you didn't wash it.
Man, yeah, you're probably. I don't use this glass for Scotch, but otherwise, you'd probably not be wrong. Wow, I actually would just be having a whole field day, but sadly, Clubfoot is not with us tonight.
Speaking of field days, so back to me. Let's get down to the history on this one here, and I actually had to research and write a history for the first time in a while because this is actually kind of a brewery that we have not done yet on BA 101. I don't know why. We've been all on YouTube for almost 5 years now, and we still haven't looked at basically the biggest macro beer from the province down below me. So,
below me,
why? Who is Alexander Keith, and why does he call his beer an IPA? So, let's get down to the history. So, the story of the brewery begins with Alexander Keith when he was born on October 5th, 1795, in the village of Alkirk in Caithness in Scotland. After learning the brewing trade from his uncle between breweries in Edinburgh and London, Keith emigrated to Halifax, Nova Scotia in 1817 and became manager at a local brewery, which he bought out 3 years later in 1820, establishing his namesake brewery. At around this time, the abolition of slavery in the British Empire and the Caribbean reduced the availability of sugar. No shit, this is what I actually read in history when I was writing this shit. So the availability of sugar for rum production. So other beverages grew in popularity during this time, with Keith's Brewery producing a wide range of different beers. In addition to his India Pale Ale, he also brewed a spruce beer, a porter, ginger wine, and a strong ale. In 1822, he moved his brewery to larger facilities along Halifax's Lower Water Street, and in 1836 rebuilt the brewery into a new brewery, which that brewery still stands today. Alexander Keith became very popular. In addition to serving on several management boards in the city, including on the board of the Bank of Nova Scotia, he was twice elected the mayor of the city of Halifax. He would also serve as the president of the Legislative Council of Nova Scotia from 1867 until his death in 1873. His funeral would be one of the largest in the city's history. So, big, important guy.
Wow.
The brewery, of course, continued on, and during the First World War, Halifax had become an important port on the eastern seaboard for the British due to its large, well-protected harbor. However, in December of 1917, the city was devastated by the Halifax explosion, but amazingly, Alexander Keith's brewery was spared, because basically most of the buildings at the time, I think, were like wooden structures, and his brewery was like a big, solid brick building. So yeah, so that brewery survived amazingly. Probably not the windows in the building, but the building. I couldn't find much more information on it. So in 1928, Alexander's Keith's Brewery was sold to George W. C. Oland and his son Sidney of the Oland family, another Halifax area brewery and one who had recently rebuilt in 1925 following the Halifax explosion. Oland's other son, George B. Oland, had moved to St. John, New Brunswick in 1918 and had by this point, acquired the Red Ball Brewery and the James Ready Brewery, which were the forerunners to today's Moosehead, meaning that at one point in time, the four largest breweries, so you got Keith's, Oland's, Red Ball, and James Ready, the fourth largest breweries in the Maritimes, were once all owned by the same Oland family. However, a rift has formed between the NS and NB branches of the family starting in 1933. So Alexander Keith's beers continued under the Oland Brewery, with Sidney Oland serving as CEO for decades, before the brewery was acquired by Labatt on, I think, June 1st, 1971. Labatt was itself acquired by Belgian-based InBev, which is now AB InBev, in 1995. So it's now technically a Labatt product. So Alexander Keith's India Pale Ale, which we have here, is a 5% ABV, 13 IBU blonde ale. Notice I didn't call it an IPA. As Keith's IPA is the oldest continuously brewed beer in North America, the term India Pale Ale has been grandfathered in, and at this point, however, both the Alexander Keith's website and popular rating sites, Untappd, Beer Advocate, and Great Beer, all classify this beer as a blonde ale. It is also a beer that is tied to Nova Scotia culture, being the first beer that many Nova Scotians and Maritimers in general started off with. So, yeah. Alexander Keith's, they don't call it an IPA anymore, but it still carries the name because it always carried the name. It's basically just the classic label, even though it makes me less mad at it. But I'm assuming we'll talk more about that in a moment. So, yeah, and it's worth mentioning, I didn't write in the history that ever since like the early like the 2010s, Labatt has been gradually turning Alexander Keith's into their crafty brewing name kind of thing, and they have a lineup of actual like craft beers. They got like a coffee and cocoa stout and a goza and all this stuff now, and an actual IPA, I think, in their lineup. But it's kind of like doing the same thing that the Moosehead Small Batch does, but maybe not as well. So. Oh, and I guess I'll read the comments because I'm the only one here. I'm already here. Lee Russell says, better be 10 seconds across the board. Big Grown, by Grown 40 ounces. Mickey's next. I wish I could get Mickey's here, but I'd love to do it. Lee Russell says, have a great night, guys. Have a great night, Lee. Good luck at work. And sorry I can't be on the panel tonight. All right, so that's all the comments. So let's go over to who we have first, and go to Redbeard, who's going to give us his
my
illustrious history on how often he's drank this beer.
I looked it up. This was beer number 30 in
Yay.
my review journey. Yeah, I still think it's a bit of bullshit that they say IPA on the can. Like it's, I don't know. I've had it now and then since I became of age, and it's, I don't know, never really done it for me. So it's a beer.
It is a beer.
Yay. It is a beer. That's an excellent observation. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is Guy. Guy, what's your history with the Keiths?
I don't know. Anytime you walk somewhere, someone want to be bit different, rebellious. Oh, I drink Keiths. You go to a bar, there's always someone drinking Keiths. Oh, you want a Keiths? So he goes, oh, it's deer piss. There's just Keiths everywhere. So it's like, if I'm of age, almost of age, there's always someone drinking that delicious deer piss. I don't know. It's always been
Delicious
there.
deer piss.
It's just something you drink once in a while without realizing it. You're too drunk. You just ordered it by mistake. It's just there.
It's in every bar. Just order it.
Everybody knows your name.
All right. Thanks, Guy. Let's go over to Lee. Guy Lee.
This is my first time actually having this.
Oh, really?
I never drank it before. It's never been a part of my drinking journey. Like I know I started drinking beer late in general because I've never really drank beer in the first place. So I never bothered with it. I was supposed to have it when I went down east, but someone shut the bed. So it'll be my first time, and I get to review it. So yay, exciting! Woo!
Oh, wow. All right. Thank you, Lee. Last, of course, we got Mr. Greg. Greg's going to tell us how often he's drank this beer.
Hello, Nick. Well, according to Untapped, I've had it 3 times before. I suspect I probably had it more than that. I think this may have been one of those beers where I was underage.
You naughty boy.
Don't tell anyone. Don't, Arnold, cover your ears. I can't hear that. But yeah, I don't know. It's a beer I've had before. I mean, I remember one point thinking it was an India Pale Ale, and then trying a real India Pale Ale and being like, "Oh, this is very different." I do have a funny check in though. I'll just say I'm trying to find out where this place is, but I don't know. Maybe I should name and shame them. But I have an Untapped place well, it's in 2015, so let's hope in 7 years they've gotten their act together. It's from Lales Seafood and Steakhouse. I have no recollection of being here, but my check-in is I asked the waitress if they had craft beer. She told me I don't know what that is. Prepare for some boring check-ins.
Nice.
So I was probably not that happy that evening. I don't know. You know what? It may have been at a wedding or something. I'm not sure, but I have no clue where the hell that even is. But anyway, yeah. So it's a beer. That's my exciting journey. The answer is I don't know. I've had it many times. I used to, if I just wanted drinking beer, I'd often buy cases of this in the border. But it was like the American version wasn't quite as good. So because I think it's American brewed or something going back into Canada. So it is what it is. But it's a drinking beer.
All right.
You don't eat this.
You're going to drinking. He's going to have a gun before he even gives his final thoughts.
Does anyone else notice I have a halo over my head? I'm like so holy.
You're so angelic.
Yeah.
Well, you're a hole, all right.
A
All
white
right.
hole.
So,
Okay.
okay, so my turn. I think that this actually might have been like one of the first 5 beers I ever drank. The first time I can remember actually having this beer was like I think I might have been like 19 or 20 years old, and a buddy of mine smuggled this over to I was old enough at the time, I guess, but I think a buddy of mine smuggled this out of his house when he first started trying new beers and shit, like trying new alcoholic drinks in general. He smuggled a can of this and a can of Labatt Blue, and we tried them both, and I remember not liking either one. because I still liked. I think I tried like Budweiser and Molson Canadian first or something like that, and I still preferred generally those over this. Way back in those days where I always thought that beer tasted like bready piss water before I discovered what craft beer was. So yeah, it's not like a beer I drank much, if at all. The next time I think I drank a can of Alexander Keith's was back in where does the YouTube link go? I think it was review number. I was going to share my screen. I don't really need to share my screen, but might as well show us review number 42 way back in May 31st of 2011. So it was like just over a month after I'd even started my BeerTube channel 11 years ago. So this review is almost 11 years old. And you can see where I've got a nice Nova Scotia glass. Anybody from Nova Scotia probably remembers Upper Clements Park, the theme park that used to be not far from Digby. Anyway, and you can even see in the can there that it's got the Nova Scotia flag right on the can underneath the deer piss logo. Deer. The next time I think I had this beer, I don't drink. Like I said, I don't drink this thing often. I think the next time I had it was at Scott's wedding, the Fuzz, if anybody knows who the Fuzz is. So, and it was basically because it was all they had at the bar was macro. So it was, like I was trying all the different beers there, which meant I was trying like Coors Light and Alexander Keith's, and I probably didn't pick this one first. So I think that sums up both what I've thought of it over the years and what I've my history with it. So I've had a number of Keith's beers in general over the years. Some of them I like, some of them like I remember that I think it was the Lunenburg coffee and cocoa stout. I'm actually thinking I might try go get some more of that because that was actually pretty tasty. But I always find that the beers I've ever had from like the crafty beers from Keith's that they've made over the years have kind of been, they kind of pale in comparison to the real thing. They're just imitation craft beers, like crafty beers tend to be. All right, so I think I've done my spiel. So I've got, I'm just going to put it out to everybody else here and don't everybody speak at once. There's no comments to read. If anybody out there is watching, I know it says 0 viewers because YouTube's been screwing with us lately. If you're watching, then let us know what you're drinking. We do read every comment and we do comment about it. So we are curious.
Yes.
We talk about what you're
really
talking about.
Basically, beer.
And if your comments are in any way sexual harassment, direct them towards me, please.
Yep.
Or if you just like any other normal person, grossed out by Greg fingering his goddamn toes over there. Jesus.
Oh yeah, I like to do that.
Oh, so disturbing.
Low V, Greg. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
See, I guess one thing I didn't know, even on the back, it says smooth golden ale. Yeah, that is of course one thing that's kind of always screwed with people, I think, and especially here in the Maritimes when you back. I mean, it's not so much now, but back when you first started getting in like actual craft IPAs popping up around here, the whole thing with Keith's popularity, like saying this is an India Pale Ale, like this India Pale Ale became synonymous with a macro blonde ale, in the Maritimes. So anybody who automatically goes to a bar and says, "Hey, I want to try this new craft IPA that they have," and then they're surprised by getting this bitter, juicy punch in the face.
Oh yeah,
from
this
the hops.
beer's a lie. And
Yeah.
I just noticed, like, just as Alexander Keith intended is on the back of this goddamn can. That's a bunch of bullshit right there.
Well,
you were saying about
Well, he probably
we
did
don't know
intend
how many actual
Well,
how many changes they
between
made from the
50s and
original thing
were
to
kind
now.
of like a malaise period with a lot of, because there wasn't a lot of competition between breweries. It was especially in Canada where I think there used to be a thing where if you wanted to have your beer sold in one province, you had to brew it in that province, and So it's just like Coca-Cola having a bottling plant in each province or something in order to produce their product. You had to be able to produce the beer in each province for each liquor board. So as I remember, there used to be like a Labatt brewery on the west side, which funny enough is where the building I used to work is at now. Anyway, so there was a whole thing about like breweries because of the lack of we saw a reduction in the amount of products there was because it's just basically beers that were selling, and it was just kind of a malaise period. Like the quality of the beer was gradually tapered down, and as I was saying before the show, like one of the members of the Olin family had died in the late 2000s, I think. And in his possession, he had some brewers' logbooks from the 50s, 60s, and I think maybe the early 70s. This is a very vague memories I'm going on here because this is something I read back in like 2010, 2011. And what happened was that when he died, his library was donated to like the Nova Scotia Archives, the Nova Scotia Library, or something like that. And they found this logbook, this brewer's log, and put it on display. And some people in a beer forum wrote down like what the recipes and how it changed over the course of the few years. And I wish I still had access to this information because it was pretty damning. However, they Labatt filed an injunction and said, no, you're not allowed to display these books because it wasn't Olin's property. It wasn't his to donate and put on display. So Labatt won. Labatt took these books out of display, but it showed that Alexander Keith's back in like the 1950s used like 2 or 3 times as many hops as they used to in the by the 1970s. So it was kind of fucked up, to be honest. I really wish I could find this information or the forum post now, but I think it's long gone. But it's kind of interesting to think that like that's how downhill this beer is. I mean, and maybe it used to taste more like an IPA than it does now, but at least you know what, they're no longer really lying about it, and they call it a blonde ale on their website. But I mean, it still says IPA on the can, and that's because it's always said IPA in the can. I mean, you kind of, if you know this beer, you know what you're getting, but there's a lot of people that don't. And I guess with that, there's also the fact that like it really screwed with Maritimers' heads trying to get into beer because they always expected when they buy an IPA it tastes like this crap, where it doesn't. You know, you get something different.
Why
so there's also
rotten? Tastes like pine.
Well, it's not. It's okay. I shouldn't call it crap. But what I'm trying to say is that it's also screwed with craft brewers, like making IPAs around here that cater to this drinking crowd. So you get an IPA that might taste completely different than like IPAs in Ontario or something. So it's kind of screwed everything in that department. But I don't think that's quite as bad as it used to be now that New England IPAs have become really popular. So. Anybody else want to talk?
Nah, we're good. You're talking for
All
us.
right, yeah. I'm just fencing with the mad knowledge, right? And I got my original OG glassware too. Deer piss.
You should put Lady Lee in charge of telling us whether this pairs well with seafood or not, like a good maritime beer should.
Probably would actually. It's like have this with Digby scallops or something.
Scallops.
It's a nice, like when you drink it, it's got this nice like earthy bite to it.
It tastes like beer.
Gritty. It probably is the one that tastes the most like beer of all beers.
It does taste like beer.
Yeah, it does taste like beer.
I know. I get that the Xerox matte paper finish.
That sounds like a very
kind of chemical toilet.
I feel Guy must lick a lot of household objects.
Just walks around licking them.
He knows a
candy.
lot of these things
You
taste
work in
like.
an office, freshly printed paper. It's warm. You're like, oh, tastes like that.
I got what the thing is. I like Guy always comes up with these weird statements, but he's right at the same time because I used to work at Xerox, right? So we had more than enough supply of fresh paper, and every time you open up a pack, it kind of smelled like what this tastes like.
But you know what I mean? When it's warm, fresh out of printer, just printed, the ones that got like fucking warm, that smell,
Okay.
that taste of that smell.
You're inhaling toner. I feel like it's not good for you.
No, it's warm paper. It's good.
I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with it. The toner dust is
believe you
just
guys.
melted into the paper, and the printer picks up the rest of the particulates.
It's
Ever think you
artificial.
touch
horny
Xerox
breed.
paper and smoke it?
Yes. Roll up the paper and smoke it.
You don't have to. You just inhale the printer.
All right. So we had 2 viewers. It's probably just us checking to see if there's any viewers, but we have that one viewer here. Amazing, because Lee's on tonight. All right, so let's roll back through. Might as well and go to Redbeard. Where's my thing? Go to Redbeard and get his final thoughts.
Mildly sweet, beery cardboard.
Exactly.
I don't hate it, but I don't know. Like, I don't see myself buying another can of this until we, at some point in the future, decide, hey, we should reanalyze Keith. Because just I don't know. Not really a fan. And I don't care if they call it a golden ale, whatever the shit. It says IPA on the goddamn can. Style 1. Then that's being generous. And enjoyment, I don't know. I'll give it a 4.
All right. Fair enough. All right, let's move over to Leggy and see, what do you think?
It's a rare beer, so I'm drinking out of the right kind of style glass. It's deluxe Xerox paper and like cardboard. Like Harry said, it's there. You're wearing a white beater shirt at the bar. You're proud. Good for you. It's like 5 out of 5. No, not 5 out of 5. 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10.
5 out of
5. You're just wet a little bit on the nips, and you're good to go.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
5 and 5.
Okay.
Well, okay, you gave it a 5 for what? Overall enjoyment?
Yes.
What about style?
Yes.
All right, fine. All right, thank you, Yi. Let's go to Lady Lee.
Oh, hey.
Hi.
Hi.
So,
Hey, girl.
hey, girl, hey. Are we rating it on the fact that it says India Pale Ale on the can, or are we rating it as what it's
Oh, God, no.
marketed?
I think you can take whatever liberty you want. I mean, the Alexander Keith calls it a blonde ale, but it does say India Pale Ale right on the can.
Okay.
Is this a macro, Nick?
I'm gonna go by what's on the can,
Yes.
only because, like,
Okay.
if I'm going to a grocery store or like a LCB or whatever liquor store, and I'm shopping, and let's say I don't know what Alexander Keith's is, and this is what I read on the can, this is what I'm gonna think I'm gonna get. So that's why I'm gonna go with this, only because they need to change it. Like, I don't know why they keep it. I know you explained it already, but like, still, just change it, or at least put it on the can somewhere else what it's actually supposed to be, instead of like making people guess. So I'm gonna agree with Carrie, and I'm gonna go with a 1 for style, because it's not an IPA. I think that's kind of lame that they haven't done it. I don't really taste cardboard, mind you. I haven't really tasted cardboard, and I haven't shoved my face in Xerox printers, so
Missing out.
I don't taste any of that.
You have cardboard right behind you. Just taste it.
I would say this is
Eat a
like one of
chunk of
those like
cardboard.
maintenance beers that you get. So if you're somewhere and someone like gives you a certain thing to pick of shitty beers, like this is probably going to be on the higher level for me, because it's not like amazing, but it doesn't have anything crazy strong to it in the taste wise that I don't like it. So personal preference, I'm going to give it a 6.
Nice. All right. Thank you, Lee.
No problem.
Okay, let's go over to last but least. Let's go, Greg.
So
Comes across the board.
this beer is absolutely delicious. Got just the amount of hops you want, perfectly balanced with malt, 8% alcohol.
Right.
Anyways, that's 10 bitter years for you. I'm going back to Alexander Keith's. So mine's definitely warmed up. I'll say it does the pool beer test where when it's cold, it basically disappears. You drink it quickly, you enjoy it. No particular bad taste. When it warms up, as you'd expect, really with any lager, it's not so great. That being said, I don't think it's that bad either. It's if I'm gonna rate it, so I'm gonna rate it as a macro lager because I feel that's where it's fair. Like the label on the can, I get it. If it's an IPA, it's a 1 out of 10. I mean, it's like a 0 out of 10. It's not an IPA. Like you can't taste a hop in it. So, but I'm not gonna do that. So to me, it does once it warms up, it does have a little bit of the cardboard. But I will say for a beer that's basically almost room temperature now, it's not that bad. Like at thing, like you do get the bit of the wet cardboard. I don't get corn from it. I don't get a ton of sweetness at all, really. Like just maybe a titch. Like what Nick said earlier, that it tastes like a beer. Like this is always like in my, you know how in your head you always had what a beer tastes like, especially as a young person, kid or whatever, and an underage kid drinking.
Ooh.
Naughty.
Sorry, I mean as a 19-year-old first drinking. 21 if I was in the States, of course.
18 if you're in Quebec.
Ooh, there's a good idea. I lost my train of thought. Yes, this is as Nick said, like this is a beer that tastes like beer. That's actually an accurate statement. This is a beer. Most beers nowadays, like I remember what I thought of Molson Canadian back when I was younger. Now I tasted, I'm like, this tastes like liquid diarrhea. Like, why did I think it tasted like an okay beer back in the day? This to me still tastes like an okay beer.
What are you
that's a
having
macro lager.
diarrhea?
That's saying a lot because most macro lagers taste like liquid diarrhea. So, as a macro lager, rating it that way, I'm going to give it an 8.5. It does its job well. I'm not supposed to be drinking it at the temperature I'm drinking it now, and it's still okay. When it's cold, does the job of a macro lager.
That for style, Greg? 8.5?
That's my style, yeah, 8.5 as a macro lager. I'm not going to raise an IPA. I don't think that's fair, but everyone does their own thing. And my personal enjoyment, again, I'm going to say if I'm in the mood for a lager, like I got to sort of be specific because I'm not generally in the mood for a lager. But if I'm in the mood for a lager, I'm by the pool. I just want something to knock back. I can imagine this would be a good wedding beer because, it's like Molson Canadian, Coors Light, some other piece of shit. And, oh, well, this is okay. I'll have this instead. So again, but again, it's not something I'm going to gravitate towards too. So I can't go any higher than a 6. But I will say as a lager, if I'm in the mood for something, it's not bad. There's a lot of craft lagers that are worse than this simply because they go in the other direction where it's like, we're gonna hop the fuck out of this. And now it's no longer an easy drinking lager. So I think this is actually a reasonably good beer for what it is. If you buy it in the US, it's going to taste different, not as good. Or you may like it better because it'll be more watered down. I think it's actually lower alcohol too. Like what's this? 5%? Because a lot of American beer is like 4.5%. I can't remember if this one is less alcohol in the States, but it's definitely more watered down. So it's there you go, Alexander Keith, the pride of after Lee, Manly. This is the second pride of Nova Scotia.
What'd you give for style, Greg? I missed that part.
I don't remember what I gave. I gave an 8 or an 8. I think I gave it 8.5 and then I
8.5.
8.5.
That was style. What was the rate? Sorry, overall.
6 for overall.
Oh, all right. Fair enough. That's a good rating to give it, I think.
See the color difference between a double IPA and this?
It's a real IPA and a double IPA. Wait, sorry, it's a fake.
No, Nick,
whatever.
stick with your statement. That's a real.
I get a cuvee. You don't have any chalet sauce? Shame on you, Greg.
I don't. I'm sorry.
Ever since you moved further away from chalet, you just haven't been getting as much.
It would have like at this point, I haven't been to Swiss Chalet for a few weeks, so it'd have mold on it and make it even better.
I'm sure you'll get
you not have
chalet
Swiss
sauce for
chalet
next.
sauce.
I'm sure you'll get chalet sauce for next week's beer.
I'm sure it won't be the first time I've disappointed you as a man.
All right, so God, thank you, Greg. He was almost completely civilized, and then that.
Do it
Okay,
again.
so you know what? I got to give Greg credit on something. Is like you're
Yeah.
right. When it warms up, it shut up. I shouldn't encourage him. When it does warm up, it actually doesn't taste horrible. Like there's a lot of beers out there that just go to cardboardy as heck, or just taste like shit at the back end. Like a Budweiser warmed up, you might as well just dump it down the sink. But this stuff here warmed up a little. It's actually reasonable. I find the aromas are like floral, grassy, bit sudsy in the carbonation. It's got a nice earthy bite as it goes down. There's almost something kind of like green to it or something, as not like green in the sense like oniony hops or something like this, like this vegetable kind of taste as you drink it. Just like but it's a unique taste. But at the same time, it's a good point, Greg. There's no corn in this. Like when it comes to like drinking a macro, I kind of expect to get like a little bit of like corn pops graininess kind of coming out.
Mhm.
It is a little bit bready, but at the same time, it doesn't have that even when it's warm. It goes down actually quite clean. So I think it's actually a really reasonable. We can consider this is actually the Labatt product, and it is a beer that's been grandfathered into the title of IPA because it's been called IPA so long. Even though the recipe's changed over the years, and Keith doesn't want to admit it. I think for a blonde ale, it's still relatively decent. If I were to rate it as an IPA, of course it's gonna be like a 1 because there ain't no way there's there's none of the fucking hop in this. As far as being a blonde ale, considering it a blonde ale, I think there's better blonde ales there, but I can't fault it horribly. I give it a 6. As far as overall enjoyment too, I mean, I don't hate this. I think it's enjoyable, and good thing because I bought a 6-pack of it. But
I bought a 6-pack as well.
Yeah, well, cheers. Yeah, but there's it's nothing really here to hate. It's just a beer. Like I was saying, it's the most beer. Like when you had that imagination of what beer tasted like as you're a kid, from smelling bottles or cans of it, from your adults that were around. Whenever you get that whiff of beer in the air, you kind of figure it's the most beer tasting beer of all time. What you imagine
100%.
beer
They should put
tasting
that on their
like when you're
can.
a kid, this is what it tastes like. So yeah, I give it a 6 for overall enjoyment too, because I don't hate it, and that's as big a surprise to me as anything else. And when I bought this big can of it last week, they had like a special on it. Like if you bought 3 of these at the liquor store for, I think they were $3.99 each, you get like 4 or like $1.50 off. So it's like, fuck it, I'll buy 3 cans, and I ended up drinking them like 2 of the 3, and I'm like, wow, that's not bad. And I bought more for tonight, like in store can form. So it's just like, I don't really hate this. I don't think it's something I would go out of my way to buy often, but if I just wanted something to swill, so I'll just leave it at that. And there's definitely better beers out there, but so once again, we have 2 viewers. Let us know what you're
What?
drinking. We do respond to comments. We don't have any to read, however, so we just continue to talk amongst ourselves until I do the math on the graphic.
Tell us about all your underage drinking stories and carbon copy the police.
Yeah, right. It's
What I would
past the
like
statute of
to know, and I
limitations,
know
right?
he's not watching, but maybe he'll watch in the future. I don't know. Lee Russell, if you ever watch this show, comment down below. Tell us what you think, since you're actually from Nova Scotia. Is this the
I was
pride of
hoping Lee
Nova
would be here
Scotia,
tonight for that.
or is it just swill?
I was hoping Lee would be here for tonight's episode, just because I'm kind of
Well,
curious, like, what's his
It
thoughts on
was
what's
just
apparently
unfortunate
his
that
beer.
part of work.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Hey, shit happens.
I'm
And I
saying
know
he can type in a few comments below. Let us know what he thinks. So,
I think
He's
he's
not
at
there.
work,
He had
or
already
no, he's
left.
getting ready for work.
well, no, but I'm sure the message can get to him. Hey, comment on this video, and
Shut the fuck up, Greg.
What do you mean, having to come out on the phone he doesn't have because he's a Luddite?
oh yeah, that's true.
He doesn't know what a phone is. What are you talking about?
Phone.
He has a
You
tablet
dead
though.
know
He has a
that shit.
tablet. He's pretty
He's
exciting.
keeping it real.
But a phone? A telephone?
I want to get a gang, guys.
Has
together.
cellular telephone.
Get a couple guys together, jump them behind an alley, and force them to sign up for a cell phone contract.
While eating a piece of pineapple pizza.
Oh yeah.
Whoa, you went too far.
Oh, that Carrie, man. Fucking
It's too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
fucking
Carrie.
thug life. Carrie pours the gasoline, walks away, and lights that match.
He's just walking away from the scene like a badass.
That's right.
Burning the evidence.
Space snow. I've been Dan. I thought Dan was going to try and join us.
He couldn't get the beer.
You couldn't get a single.
It couldn't get a single, and it isn't worth buying multiple.
Just get 15 of them. If you don't like
18.
them.
It was 18, which would have been even better. You
Oh,
totally
18.
could
Yeah,
have
just trade them for a bottle of whiskey or
There
something.
you go.
I had one more choice after if Sobeys didn't have singles, I was going to go all the way down to Metro. And if they didn't have singles, I think I probably would have flipped a coin and been like, 6-pack, or I'm not showing up. I don't know.
This is a beer that I would have bought a case of if I had to, even if I had to buy a 24, because I would drink it. I would drink it by the summer. Drink it by the pool in the summer. So I mean, evidently the rest of you guys don't agree with me because not very good ratings.
It wasn't
Well,
terrible.
for style, for the style, it was kind of shit. Like what was the math here? Redbeard brought the score down.
You
So
know
did
For
he.
style, both of us did.
Oh, the score tanked. I mean, I could have easily just rated it based on IPA, but I kept saying it like it's. And you know what? It's fair. It's completely fair because it does actually say IPA straight on the can, like any other beer would identify itself by its style on the can like that. But somehow this is a blonde
Like
ale.
if it was just hidden in the name somewhere and they had like the thing on the bottom saying whatever the actual thing is, but it's literally the only thing that's on the can. And if someone doesn't know better, they're gonna base it off the fact that it's an India Pale Ale. That's it.
Mhm.
Like me, who never had it before, grabbed it. I know you guys were making jokes, but I thought it was an IPA because it said India Pale Ale. So
You know what? I
IPN.
think it's fair. I mean, I'm going to throw it out there that maybe if we do a beer that has sort of a similar controversy in the future, maybe we decide ahead of time how we're going to rate it as style. But I mean, I think it's fair because I think you can do it either way. I think it's kind of.
I think if a beer's got controversy like that, just leave it because that's part of its rating.
Well, fair enough.
I mean, with this beer, like it's double sided too. It was like the expectation of what an IPA is in the Maritimes was tainted by this beer.
Like, I don't know if any of you guys watch Ralphie whiskey reviews. He's like probably the biggest whiskey reviewer on YouTube.
Yeah, I know who Ralphie is.
Whether you do or not, he always has this thing where he says is that like he's not going to go like the bottle is the bottle and that's what you read. That's your contract with the distillery. He says, I'm not going to go to a website. I'm not going to look up whether your beer is chill filtered, whether it's colored. Not beer, whiskey, blah, 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 blah. He says, no, the information on the bottle, that's the information I'm taking. And you know what? Fair enough, because when you buy this beer, this is the contract is that I am purchasing an Alexander Keith's IPA and I'm paying you X amount of money for it. And I'm not getting an IPA. So
some breweries are just way better at putting the information and a little story or something like that on the can. And then some breweries are like, here's the name of the beer, the style, ABV, and that's it. Like I
feel nowadays, like, you're not dealing with 20 years ago where, whatever you're into, whiskey, beer, wine, where people kind of would just buy something, they like the flavor and they kept buying it. Nowadays, we have the internet and people become obsessive and do their research on stuff. And I think, craft beer, whiskey, whatever kind of, whenever you start to get away from just the budget version and people are willing to pay more for a product, you want to get them that stuff. Like people want to know that information. Like I love the breweries that will actually tell you.
Like, but whiskey kind of tends to, in general, caters to a higher class demographic. I should say Scotch does. Because it's a more expensive product. The buy-in is so much higher.
They do, but I mean, there's like, beers, whiskeys like
Unless you're missing
Glenlivet.
Johnny Red or something.
Johnny Walker, Johnny Walker Blue is a great example. 300, what is it? Close to $300 a bottle. People buy it all the time, but doctors, lawyers, dentists buy it for gifts and stuff like that. They don't really like whiskey. The people they buy it for probably don't really like whiskey. They maybe drink a pint, not a pint.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like somebody who's spending more money on it might be more. Are you spending more money on it too because you're more into the product, or you're buying a more expensive product and you're curious about it, or you're buying? Because there's probably a lot less dentists buying stuff like that for gifts than there are just normal people, middle class people buying it just to get drunk. And like the person who's buying Johnny Walker Red or buying a flat of Bud Light or something like that to drink at home probably isn't going to research online. Like, what about the Nova Scotian who's going to buy a flat 2-4 of Alexander Keith's and drink it at home? Do they really care what an IPA actually tastes like?
Oh, fair.
Like,
what I'm saying,
drink an IPA, an actual IPA.
What I'm saying with the whiskey analogy is that you get these smaller distilleries that they give you all the information. They put on the bottle. This is non-chill filter. This is thing. Here's our recipe. Some of them will give you the recipe. I like breweries that even do that. They'll even sometimes some of them will even tell you what kind of malt and hops they use. And it's like, do I really care? Like, I'm not actually sexist. I'm not going to go out and brew your beer. But I looked at it. I'm like, oh, this is actually really cool that they tell me this type of stuff. Some of them will freaking tell you how long they boil it for and shit like that. It's like, I can't use that information for anything, but I still think it's pretty fucking cool to read.
Nice.
I agree.
That was a very passionate answer, Greg.
I'm a passionate man.
I like that. It's good.
I like it when you get like that, Greg.
Finally, you like something about me.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, since there's nobody in the comments to ask the magic question this week, we're just gonna, I should say, like, no BA 101 next week, and nobody's gonna watch this stuff. But I know Jamie loves us, and he's probably gonna watch this tomorrow. So first of all, hi Jamie.
Hi Jamie.
And second of all, this is gonna go out to Greg. Hi, Greg.
Hi.
You're the one that picked next week's beer, which is we're blaming you for this crap.
Well,
we're gonna change things up, says we want to stretch the BA 101 out as long as possible.
We decided that we are going to
reanalyze.
We are going to reanalyze the beer that is the official sponsor of the Ottawa protests. Because I am a Canadian. I'm pointing at Nick. Here, I'm pointing that way at Nick. Nick is Canadian, and he wants his freedom.
This beer was described by Greg not long ago as liquid diarrhea, so should be a good time.
Yep. This is Greg's all-time favorite beer right here.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's not 10 bitter years that he drinks like whenever he gets a chance.
Oh, yes.
This is
Canadian. 10 out of 10 easily.
Yeah.
And I will say that I gave this, so I believe the first time we did this, I gave this beer a 3 out of 10. And I think I was the highest rating on the show. So I was not happy about that because I truly hate this beer. That being said, I will give it a fair shake next week. So who knows? Maybe I'll get a really good can and I will give it like a 3.5. Who knows? You're going to have to wait.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up what we gave it last time, but
all I can say is that I don't know anything about Wade, but if he drank beer, he probably drank Molson Canadian. No, not even a chuckle. Okay, I tried.
Yeah.
I like Molson Canadian. You shush.
I'm trying to find, like, when did we do it? April 11th, 2018. So it was a very long time ago that we anyway, we'll discuss more about this beer next week. Anyway, so we are going to head out. So I'm going to thank, first of all, Big Rome 40 ounce. If we could get Mickey's, we would. Actually, the other guys here can get Mickey's. I can't. So I would love to be able to do a BA 101 on that.
Don't worry, Nick. I'll send you a beer mail in like 3 years.
Okay, Greg. Make sure Mickey's. It probably would age that long. All right, so thank you, Guy, Redbeard, Greg, and Lady Lee. Last but not least, thanks for coming on, and thanks for Lee Russell, who can no longer hear us because he's at work. We'll talk to you guys.
And thanks to Arnold for being so well behaved.
And Redbeard for his penis.
Thank you for your penis.